Welcome to Webway Radio, episode 6. I'm Mark.
And I'm Kurt.
And we are going to talk about our secret special little project we've been working on.
I'm going to eat so much crow this episode.
It's probably fine, maybe.
I have talked a lot of smack about Age of Sigmar over the last decade. And I would just like to say that I'm sorry.
You should be. It's fine. It's fine because it was before I knew you. So
Oh no, I talked a lot of stuff just a couple episodes ago.
Oh, you didn't you?
I did. Oh man.
Oh,
So,
well, time
apologies. I have grown as a person.
You have.
And I have purchased an Age of Sigmar army and have been building and painting Age of Sigmar quite a bit.
It mutual.
So this episode is largely centric around Age of Sigmar.
Yes.
If it hasn't been alluded to yet.
By the title.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that's gonna that'll give us more clicks, just like Kurt did what? So yeah, we're starting Age of Sigmar. That was our secret project last time around.
Yep, Kurt anymore. There it is, Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, the rabbit's out of the hat, cat's out of the bag. I don't one of those
Lizard
things, right?
is on the dinosaur.
So, yeah, technically. So we're going to talk a lot about Sigmar. We're going to go into the history a little bit.
Yeah.
I say a little bit. It's quite a bit.
But
But it's a nice little like bounce around and give a little briefing on what has happened, where we're at.
the setting is very different from just this is fantasy Europe. It's there's a lot more moving pieces as far as the existence itself is a little bit different.
And I hate to say it, but like the more I read into it, the more I really, really like it. Even the game rules, like the more I'm like, oh, that's really neat, and see how it works. Like, man, that just makes so much more sense.
Yeah. So I guess that there's been our local scenes gearing up for it, and we're gearing up for it.
No
so
kidding. We mentioned it in the Discord, and I think like half the Discord bought in.
or already had it. It's like
Just waiting for me to say like, I'm going to try this, and everybody joined. So
there's just a mob with pitchforks. Sigmar in the art after you say it.
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So if you're listening out there, you like us, give us a like, share it, subscribe to us.
All the pleasantries.
Yeah, for real. We got a couple of 5-star Apple reviews, which blew my mind.
Warms my heart.
I know. I was like, it is happening. But if and I say it at the end, but if you want to join the Discord, shoot me a message on Facebook. We'll get you in, chat with us, talk to us, follow our hobby progress live. All right, so let's take a little break. We're going to jump right into our super secret hobby progress projects.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we'll talk some Sigmar for a little bit.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be back.
Okay, I guess to start us off, do you want to talk about our recent hobby progress now that we can finally actually talk about what we've been doing?
We're unveiling the super secret project.
Super duper secret.
Yeah, let's talk Age of Sigmar.
There it is.
Hobby progress, which it probably already has been spoiled in the introduction, but you're hearing it again here first or second.
Double reveal.
So yeah, that's what we've started. We're putting our toes in.
Yes.
Dipping the toes in the water.
So I guess for reference, a league locally has been announced, and it's a convenient game store for both of us to frequent because it's like 3 minutes for me, and I guess it's like
25 for me, but
Yeah.
I used to travel like 2 hours for games, so this is fine.
So that was announced, and actually you heard about it before I did.
I got a little bit of a hint. I was talking to somebody about my frustrations with 40K, and he was like, well, hey, we're going to run a league soon. And so I talked to you about it like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I was like, man, if I was going to do it, I'd do this. After a couple of drinks one Saturday night, I woke up to a confirmation email of where I purchased a Cities of Sigmar spearhead.
I woke up to a message of, hey, I may have made a mistake.
I did bad or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no. What do you do?
I did it.
But it was Age of Sigmar. And I think I just grumbled to myself and then immediately searched the App Store for the Age of Sigmar army builder to see what it looked like.
I should start a cult.
Well, in my defense, apparently, as Games Workshop intended, I'm sure Warcry is an excellent primer for Age of Sigmar, because when you try and buy like one of each infantry box that's usable in Warcry,
Sure.
you have a good start on an army in most cases anyways. It's not as big of an investment, and one thing that's kind of interesting is the points are a bit higher for all the units in this. Like
Yes.
your 2,000 point army feels more like probably 1,500 in
I'll give you
40K.
that. Doing some list building and trying to figure it out. I'm struggling trying to keep within the confines of the escalation league.
Yeah.
Especially when everything's like 150 points. And it's like, well, I have 50 left over, or I'm 40 over. Like there's no in between.
I guess specifically, do you want to talk about what you have made progress on?
So, like I said, I bought the Cities of Sigmar Spearhead. So that is almost entirely assembled now. I have 5 tails to put on 5 horses, and it's done and it's over. And I spent 3 days building the dudes on horses.
And now you just have to pin the tails on the ponies.
Oh my gosh, it was awful. It was so detailed and so fiddly.
They're
and
very small,
yes,
very compact.
We're humans. We're tiny dudes.
Well, okay,
We're
yeah,
not
but like
infused with the power of chaos and twice the size they should be.
my frame of reference was the Chaos Knights, and it's like, these are big horses. They're the regular horses aren't that big.
Yeah. But I also, for years, I say years, for like a year, maybe 2 years. Are you familiar with Titan Forged Miniatures?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know.
They
the
do a lot of
specifics.
RPG stuff. So they have like a sci-fi / Necromunda cyberpunk kind of line.
Okay.
And they have a fantasy line. And like every creator on Patreon every month is themed. So it might be dwarfs, or it might be, Necromunda XYZ or cyberpunk gang this or that. And then usually with their releases, they will do it's like an RPG set. So it's like a wizard and a fighter and a whatever. And it's different races and classes and male, female, all the thing. And every month it's different. You get rules for it. And there's a little diorama you can build. Like, it's really cool.
It is kind of cool.
About a year and a half ago, they did a human themed, totally not Warhammer Scarlet Crusade humans, wink, wink. And I absolutely loved it. And it was one of those things where it was like, man, if I ever played, like, these would be my dudes. So I've supported GW and bought the Spearhead, and I'm printing off a lot of those dudes because it's the Scarlet Crusade from Warhammer brought to life in Sigmar.
Gotcha.
And they're fantastic. I've got the Griffin dude printed up. He's amazing.
The Griffin looks really, really cool.
I can't wait to assemble that and figure out how to make him a battle mage. But yeah, the Griffin's awesome. I've got some of the gunner dudes. I've got the sword dudes. I mean, they look like they're from the Scarlet Crusade, minus, of course, instead of the leaf or whatever that logo was from Warcraft, it's a bull.
Okay.
So
Legally distinct.
yes, exactly. So I've got a ton of dudes printed up. I think 20 dudes with shields and swords, and like 30 of the archer gun guys.
Oh, wow.
I'm still learning names. I'm really bad at this.
Yeah. I know your basic infantry are called steel helms.
Yes, those are the
forget
sword
what-
dudes,
I
the
forget what-
Fusiliers.
Yeah,
I think are the
Fusiliers.
shooty boys.
Yeah.
And then Frontline Gaming, they had a sale, and I had a discount, so it was like 20% off plus the sale.
Ooh, double whammy.
And I ended up getting the named girl on the Manticore. I can't even think of her name. And I got the
Girl on Manticore is her official game.
little like carriage thing with the magical ray gun on top.
Also very cool.
Yes, I hope to kill Sons of Behemoth with that.
The magnifying glass
Please,
of
please,
death.
please. Anything under it, including my own units, take a hit. So you
Really?
draw a line,
Oh,
and
that's so
everything under
cool.
it takes the hit. It's like, oh, that's awesome. And it can do mortals. Like, it's really cool. Oh, man. So that's what I've been working on top of like the random heresy things and this and that. I will say I was getting really excited about the Heresy Escalation League that Huntsville's doing.
Oh, is that like I've
They
seen
start
some
next month
messages
too.
about
Yeah. So they're starting an Escalation League, and then this started. I was like, oh, I have to pick something, and unfortunately, I had to pick local. As much as I would love to dive in and build this Heresy army and start with all new people and all new things and learn.
Drive.
And this is kind of the busy, crazy time of the year. We're camping every other weekend this summer. Like, it's just
You almost need a weekend to do that, and then goodness forbid your plans get canceled last minute.
Oh my gosh. And that's kind of the problem. I mean, we went to her graduation last weekend. We're camping this weekend. We're home next weekend. And then we go to the beach for like 10 days. It's like, I'm home one Saturday this month. And so I'm just hobbying like 3 or 4 hours a night right now, trying to catch up and get ahead. Because I know once school gets out, like, I'm just not going to be here on the weekends.
Gotta get it in while you can.
That's right. What about you, man? What are you working on?
I am slowly, yes,
Very slow.
like a turtle, like a reptile. I have all of my models now. I have done all the planning ahead of time, and I'll see how much that bites me in the butt as we go. But I have Seraphon. I'm going with Lizardmen.
I love it. I wanted to do one of those armies so bad back in the day.
Whenever I heard about them, when my uncle first told me about Blood Bowl and he mentioned Lizardmen were a team, I instantly was like, okay, well, lizard people are just automatically awesome. And they are actually they're very awesome. Lizard people are cool, as it turns out. So
Yeah, especially the new sculpts. They've still got some of those ancient, like 25-year-old sculpts.
some of them are a little rough. Honestly, though, the old dinosaurs, I'm not so...
I respect it.
Yeah, those ones are fine. The only ones I'm really kind of on are the old Temple Guard, because they're... I don't know if you've seen, or, I mean, if you had some...
It's been a
Saurus
while.
models.
They were on sprues. I didn't see them.
Yeah.
Actually, never played Lizardmen back in the day either.
Oh, okay. When you take the shield arm off the old Saurus models, they just look a pair of ribs with a chest stuck on them. They're so skinny in the ab section.
Yeah.
They've definitely beefed them up with the new Saurus warriors.
Speaking of shield arms, that reminds me, I was assembling the horse guys. Cavaliers. Yeah, I'm. It's been a rough week. Their left arm is the shield arm. Mm-hmm. And it's just like a super thin thing. It's not even like a molded arm.
Oh.
And there's like 2 slots and like an insert for you to line it up. They don't even craft the arm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
But it's hidden, so you'll never see it behind the shield.
That's interesting.
But it was just like that. It took me forever to figure out like how it went in, because like the chainmail hangs, but like the slot's like a centimeter above that. And I was like, I don't understand. And I was like, oh, yeah. So that really, I was like, where's the rest of the arm? I kept looking for the arm piece and it just didn't exist. So
there is no arm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. But yeah, so I started working on skinks, and they are a very old kit, as it turns out. They're like early 2000s. They're on Slaughter bases.
Early 2000s. Oh, wow.
Yeah. But they actually have a really cool feature, and the first time I built them, it kind of threw me. They have shields, and because they have all their different weapon options, which are all rolled into one thing now. They don't have shield holding arms.
Oh.
You cut the weapons off and put the shield on.
That is some old school GW.
I actually really like it because they give you weapon arms for both sides, so you can mix and match. And now basically, since the bolt spitters and the javelins and the melee weapons and spears are all one profile, I just have a mix. Like all the skinks are carrying.
I prefer that though.
Yeah,
just like put in what looks cool.
Yeah. Well,
you don't want to build shields. You don't want to paint. You don't want the blow dart dudes. Get them out of here.
Yeah, but so I'm just doing kind of like a skirmisher mix because they're just going to be running around like throwing rocks at people. Awesome. But the mold lines, some of those mold lines are
I will say the horse boys, man, almost none.
Really?
It was just glorious. They have come so far. And then you see your dudes and it's like down the front of their body. It's like, no!
It's straight down the middle of the face and down like one of the legs.
Like, I can't smooth that out.
No. So it's just taking the X-Acto knife and just cutting it down. On the nice part is they're like 4 pieces, so I can burn through them really fast. And they come in boxes of 24. Wow. So yeah, 1 box has 2 units. So that's pretty cool.
That is the best value GW has, I think, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, anything else since you've been a little skinky here lately?
I am gearing up. I did. I'm gearing up for Saurus. Because I guess, spoiler alert, my list is going to contain a lot of Saurus warriors.
They're pretty darn cool, though.
They're very cool. They are like my favorite unit. And there's a lot of stuff you can do to buff them. And yeah, they'll be big bricks of Saurus warriors. And then I got in some Agrodon Lancers too. So the Saurus on the big raptors or like mid-sized raptors. Those will be cool. Because their rule is like the longer, every turn that they fight, they get extra attacks on the raptors themselves. So the raptors get upset. So they need to be just like slamming into stuff, and then they start compounding and getting more attacks.
Did you play Total War Warhammer?
I played Total War, but not Total War Warhammer.
Oh.
I love Total War.
Never mind.
I've watched it. Which
you would have a field day.
I'm sure I would. That color scheme that they go with the Lizardmen, where it's more of a pale blue as opposed to the greeny blue. I'm going with the pale blue for my Lizardmen.
You could almost, I don't know if we could call it a tax write-off, but you could almost buy the game to like really focus on the scheme, you know?
Up close.
Just saying, you can zoom in and see how they move and how you want to mold them and
other things. Yeah. For sure.
Use them. Yeah.
Definitely.
Do it.
But yeah, so got all that ready. Like I said, I got a stack. I did get an old Slan Star Master, because he's just kind of like sitting there. He's like the exact same size. His chair's just a little bit less crazy, but what I may have is I may get with you at some point and make his chair a bit fancier with like some electricity and have him like levitating.
You can arrange that.
Yeah.
Apparently, I didn't know this, hobby progress wise here.
Oh.
Any of the cool models you see on like Instagram or anything like that have the lightning bolts, that's just a paperclip.
Yeah, I saw some of that, and
I feel so dumb. It's like, how do you do that? He's like,
looks
you just
really
build a
good,
paperclip
though.
or bend a paperclip.
Whenever I get around to building and painting my Thor for Marvel Crisis Protocol, I've seen some really cool ones where they've got
Join
like, the
the
lightning
club.
coming off the off Mjolnir.
I was hoping that would be something Jordan wanted to dive back into now that she's done with her doctorate, graduated this past weekend. Woo! No, she just wants to play Eldar.
Darn! Can you convince her to play perhaps cow elves or tree elves or wet elves?
I'm working. I think once she sees us playing, that will be the like, what's that? And we'll get her in. But I'm not going to push it until she can like touch it and feel it and try it.
Sure.
Which maybe I'm a week away.
My lizard people getting stomped into the ground. Poor guys.
Yeah. She'll pick whatever's OP, having looked at nothing. She'll be like, oh, those are cool. I was like, honey, they have a 92% win rate. Oh, jeez.
They have an ability where if you roll a 1 through 6, you just win the game.
Yeah, it's the craziest. And she'll pick it,
Accidentally.
every time. Every time. 3 for 3.
Just elves in general is what we've discovered are just broken.
I do like the elves, though, for Sigmar.
They are cool. I like Sylvaneth a lot.
And we had a wood elf army, so that's on theme, too.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid that's the direction we would go if we went a direction.
Sylvaneth would be cool, though.
I don't want to build and paint all that, because I know how that also goes.
At least they're very easy to paint, though.
Yeah, but you know me, I can't just stick to a basic scheme. I'd have to be like, these are fall Sylvaneth.
Oh,
and I would have to go outside and collect leaves and get my little leaf cutter and do like 1,000 little cut leaves, all of the bases, and
They
paint
sell
them the
that done
oranges
already,
and the
to be
yellows
fair.
and the. No, I've planned out that army in my head.
Oh, gotcha.
Or have like each unit's a different season, like your spring ones, your summer ones, your fall ones, your winter ones.
cool.
It would be amazing. Let me just tell you. So, God, I hope she doesn't pick that army.
And she did moments later.
Yeah. Let's wrap up the hobby progress side of this and let's take a quick break and we'll come back and talk about why we decided to do this, what we like about it.
The setting itself.
Yeah, all the important information because I'm going to eat a little crow this episode. I can feel it.
Just a little bit, maybe. It's fine.
We'll be right back. And we are back. Let's talk about Sigmar.
Sounds good.
So, why have I decided to do this after 10 years of kind of pooing on this game?
That was the question I asked to myself first.
Yeah.
But I can't blame the decision, though.
I've always been curious. In my defense,
Yeah.
I did acknowledge the game, the entire first edition, because it was dumb stuff like whoever yells loudest, whoever has the biggest beard gets to go first. And that was like legitimately rules when
They
game
didn't
came
have
out.
points when it started, right?
It was bad. Like, just bring what looks fun. I was like, yeah, but that doesn't. And so
very
things like
casual,
that,
very
after they
casual.
killed my game,
Yeah.
I was just salty. When Soul Wars came out, my wife and I ran a Warhammer club at her school for third graders. Honestly, I don't remember. Those kids were not ready for Warhammer.
Oh.
Their ADHD meds had worn off at that point. It was a 2-hour club once a week after school. Never again. But we picked up 2 copies of of Soul Wars. That's when I picked up all my Nighthawk from ages ago.
Oh.
Ton of Stormcast. I keep wanting to call them Sigmarines, and I know that's not right. That's the only word I can think
call
of.
them Sigmarines, and
Yeah,
people.
but I'm
Some
trying to be
people will know
proper.
what they are.
Had a bunch of those, and I tried to play them, and then my son wanted to play them, and then Jordan wanted to play them, and eventually I just offloaded them because I'm never touching Sigmar.
Sure.
I had a Deepkin army that I thought was going to be awesome.
Did you actually have the models?
Oh yeah, I bought the Christmas box at the time and all the things, and I was telling the guys in Discord yesterday, today, it all runs together. I don't know.
I think it was today.
But we were at a beach, and I with my insulin pump stuff, like the salt water hits the adhesive and it just falls apart.
Gotcha.
So like I'll get in and play with the kids for a little bit, but then I'm out. Like I try not to go like more than my waist because that stuff just falls out and it's so expensive. So I made my day or my weekend by just walking up and down the beach. And anything that looked red or orange, shells, all the stuff in the ocean you find. I had a 5-gallon bucket of orange and red shells.
Oh, wow.
And, I pick up other colors like, oh, that's a cool black one. Yep. And the plan was just to steamroll these things and crush them up and make it look like very red and orange sand. And that was going to be the basis for my Deepkin.
Yeah.
Didn't play out. Because they were kind of the Drakari of
gotcha.
Fast, so that was
glass cannons. They're all on eels and sharks.
Very cool looking sharks.
Yes, dude. I wish there was an infantry equivalent, but whatever, like Achillean Guard or whatever, the guys with the really cool helmets with like the trident fins. Those guys look awesome.
I agree. Had a bunch of those. But yeah, so that was the plan there, and then I was like, And then I ended up deciding to build and paint my Night Haunts.
Oh.
Ended up trading those off for like $500 as store credit somewhere.
I was going to say, I never saw your Night Haunt. So.
They were, I airbrushed the Night Haunt gloom on the bottom and the Hex Wraith on the top.
Okay.
And faded it almost perfectly.
That'd be cool.
It was awesome looking, and it was so easy because you two colors.
Night Haunt seemed like they were very easy to flex with.
The steel and the wood, and like, oh, I'm done.
Wow.
And yeah, it was great. But I ended up trading that off because nobody around here wanted to play Sigmar. So
things have changed.
Yeah, no kidding. So what about you? Do you have a history in the hobby other than Warcry? Have you tried to play?
I have not. I've thought about it, mainly because I got into Warcry. I didn't intend to even do that, but I think the place started playing Age of Sigmar. I went to this tiny little game store in Lewisburg. It's like on the square.
My first shock was like, Lewisburg has a store?
They have a store. It's on the square. It's 2 stories. Like the bottom story is the store. The top story is their tables.
That is the dream. Let me just tell you.
It was so cool. And yeah, they taught me kind of in one session. I actually, before that, I had Slaves to Darkness models.
Okay.
Because a buddy of mine, we were playing a miniatures agnostic game called Song of Blades and Heroes. Huh. And my wargaming uncle told me all the cool stuff about Chaos Warriors. And so, given the chance to run like 20 or 30 models from any game I want, well, it's like, oh, well, It's going to be Chaos Warriors. Like, come on, let's go. And they just got their redesign. So I had Slaves to Darkness, just like a bunch of dudes,
nice.
And like a chariot and whatever else. But so those immediately got sent to Warcry. Yeah. And then I never really considered that much Age of Sigmar. My uncle's like mentioned it once or twice just from, cause he and I discussed like Old World or something. Cause,
we started on my Old World tirades.
We discussed it, but it's mainly just kind of the conclusion we came to at the time was just Warcry gets us our fix for playing with Warhammer Fantasy miniatures.
It is a really fun game, though. I wish I had the time to just play it more or get more people into it. But
well, I mean, if everyone already has an Age of Sigmar army,
halfway there.
Yeah, but so no, I hadn't really looked at it that closely.
Okay,
when I did, I was kind of
yes. I think I woke up the next day to you having investigated the rules on a late night binge, and. Yeah, I think you were excited about some things too.
Yeah, as a range player in 40K, I have always felt a little salty about how good. Even I know people say 10th is a ranged edition. I maintain compared to actual games where range is like I'm talking Legion and Bolt Action. Those are ranged heavy games. 40K is not a ranged heavy game. There's range in it and it can be okay, but the melee still comes in and slaps your face.
Yeah, you generally don't survive the melee.
No. Whereas Sigmar, it's like, okay, everyone's already melee anyways. Sure. So maybe it will be less jank if the entire game is built around the melee part. Because that's kind of my dislike of melee, is that in 40K it feels a little jank. But there's a lot of like just the alternating melee attacks and stuff. The larger engagement range.
3 inches, by the way. 3-inch engagement range, which is cool and scary at the same time. Yes. I really like it.
Yeah, it will be just a lot of the battle reports I've seen, it's just like this swath down the table of just all these units slamming into each other in a big line.
Reminds me of Old World. Or, I'm sorry, Warhammer Fantasy 8th Edition.
It's cool, but you still have the fun, the free move stuff. So, and not that I'm opposed to rank and flank, but you get the cool, like, 2 waves of guys slamming into each other.
I like it.
Which... yeah, it looks cool. I'm also a big fan of the fact that there are models for, and I know it's just like Games Workshop making more money, but
Games Workshop make money?
I know. No, never. But having a physical, like the manifestation of the spells.
Oh, the spells. Yes.
That is so cool. And like I said, I know it's a money thing, but visually that adds so much more interest to me. Rather than it all being in your head, where it's just like, yeah, I cast whatever, and
Purple
it does
Son
this
of Xerxes,
thing. Yeah,
leaving your blast template on the table.
Yeah,
and like the little flat thing. Well, I need to move over it. No, that's there. You walk through that like half your. Yeah. It's
just like no. Now the sun is just there.
It's a cool. Purple Son of
Shyish.
Yeah, that's the one. It changed its name a little bit since my fantasy days, but it's the same spell.
It's a very big model, by the way.
It's huge.
Yes, very big.
Lot to like. So something I'm kind of struggling with is, you know me, I have to have my terrain.
Yes.
I have to have my terrain.
Yes.
I don't know what realm to base my terrain in, and that's what I did today is I took the big rule book and I read all about the different realms.
All the different realms.
And I still don't know what I want, because everybody's in every realm pretty much in some fashion.
Yeah. At this point, everyone's kind of pretty widespread, which we can get into that a little bit later. But I don't know. You could have something kind of, because you printed off some kind of city-ish buildings.
Yeah, and I think because I'm Cities of Sigmar, I might stay on brand there and keep something like that.
I mean, there'll be cities in every realm, I imagine. Yeah. Or something, maybe not death.
But like, I want a cool centerpiece, Like I need my big bridge or building or whatever.
Town
and it's like,
hall
how do I,
or something.
What do I don't know.
Monument to Sigmar.
And then it's also like, well, how could I turn this realm of battle into something cool? Like I got big ideas.
That would be cool. Oh, yeah.
I'm
just kind of excited to, it gives me an excuse to have lizards riding dinosaurs on the table. And that's really cool.
I would love, unrelated, to have elves riding dinosaurs in 40K Games Workshop. If you want my money, do Exodites. It wouldn't take much.
They remove Drukari's Codex and replace him with Exodites.
I'm okay with that.
Really?
Give me the Void Scar and Exodites, and we're in.
That would be interesting.
Anyways, back to the realm of fantasy.
Yes.
What do you got there?
Oh boy. For
Mark has notes.
I do.
I had a crazy day. I didn't get to do show notes today, so we're just gonna kind of.
Yeah, you mentioned that you didn't know a ton about kind of the setting, and it's definitely a lot less well known than 40K, because I think 40K is more prolific with just getting it out there. What the setting, at least ballpark, what it is.
When they first did the realms, like a salty fantasy player would be, I hated the idea, like, oh, this is dumb and blah blah blah. Yeah. But now that they fleshed it out, and every expansion seems to get like multiple books and campaign stuff, and this is why and how,
the story
and what's going
progresses, and
I really like it.
Yeah, story progressing.
I've only read a little bit of it.
Yeah,
and I really like what I've read.
Just story progressing to me is really fun, and I think I mentioned before I like that about BattleTech. It's just stuff happens. It doesn't always have to return to the exact same status quo. It returns to some level of normalcy. Sure. Like, stuff will increase and diminish, but stuff does happen. You get to see cool new things, and it's not just a locked setting where everything has to kind of remain stagnant. Or else
and that's kind of, I don't want to say the issue with Warhammer's lore, but like you've got 40 years of history there. You kind of have to step around the landmine when you're doing anything.
Yeah.
So I like that they've built this whole new thing that's theirs to fully just do whatever they want.
It's a fresh start, and it's built with the idea that it's going to be moving forward, and it kind of allows for new opportunities for armies and, you know, all that stuff. Because remember how upset people got about Primaris Marines for adding something different, for better or worse.
Related to Primaris Marines, somebody was talking about today, Custodes came out right before Primaris Marines. You know, Custodes are supposed to be like 10, 12 foot tall, like super, super extra duper soldiers.
Yep.
And now they're like the same height as the Primaris.
Lamau.
And I didn't realize that until somebody brought it to my attention. I was
They're on
like,
bigger bases, though.
it's like, oh man, like they're the same or shorter than a Primaris Marine, and they're supposed to be like 3 feet taller. And I can't not see that now.
I have a deep rival. I was going to say hatred, but I think maybe rivalry is a better word with Custodes anyways. So yeah, let them be short.
They deserve it.
They deserve to die. It's fine. So you mentioned salty Warhammer Fantasy fans. So I guess briefly, for those that don't know, when Games Workshop decided that Warhammer Fantasy was not
viable,
not financially viable, they decided to do what's called the End Times, which was basically
the Purge.
They made an apocalypse for their fantasy setting, and their fantasy setting was, I guess, the complaint that, or the thought process was, it was very difficult to copyright a lot of the stuff. You had like generic elves and generic dwarves and generic orcs and humans and blah, 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 blah.
And a lot of it was just based off like Europe in the medieval times.
Yes, which a lot of people liked. But also, I think potentially part of the reason Games Workshop wanted to change was people could just buy something that's not their models. And like the Empire could just be...
And they were.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. So they wanted to change the setting, but pretty much they wrote the End Times, which a lot of people had problems with how they did it. But basically, chaos wins. The entire everything gets destroyed.
Archaon destroyed the world.
Yes, like not just the world, like the universe, just like just poof. And like all the characters, you know, there's all these big final battles, and all the characters are killing each other and stuff
in the dumbest way possible.
Yes,
I'm still upset that Cetra, Lord of the Tomb King, has just got buried in the sand. It's like he's a skeleton. Like he just.
Not all the deaths were bad, but a lot of them were very much like, you probably should have seen that coming. But
no, I will say, though, we got 4 massive campaign books out of that.
Yeah.
We got a ton of really cool models, most of which are no longer for sale.
Sadness.
Nagash is around, though.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Glotkin were fantastic.
Yeah.
Pour one out. I read through the first book. And, you know, when they buried Cetra and just left it at that, it's like, I posted all of my Warhammer Fantasy stuff online the next day. It's like, oh, this game's going to die.
It, honestly, I've not seen, because, you know, obviously most games don't go out that way. It's just kind of, we're not supporting anymore. It just kind of dies out.
Yeah.
It is very rare to see this game's dying out, so we're going to give everyone a last hoorah and have them all fight to the death and just like blow everything up.
It was
the Skaven
like
blew up one of the moons.
The kids were playing in the backyard with the action figures, and that's exactly how it went, you know.
Yeah, Mom told them they have to come in, so they have to hurry up and finish it, everyone has to die real quick.
Oh, and you put it like that. But if you wanted the history of what happened, Garage Hammer did like 4 to 6 hour episodes covering each book. He had and then the guy's like an English professor or something. So for extra credit, he had his high school kids doing narrative readings of some of the battles and things.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
That's really cool.
And while I read the first book, I just listened to his for the last 3, because like I don't know where this. I don't want to buy a book that's not gonna matter soon. So I just listened to his podcast like a month later.
Wow.
But it was cool until it died.
So basically, like my understanding of how it ends is Sigmar comes back, who's like the primary god of all the human factions. He comes back kind of like for the last hoorah and is fighting the Archaon, who's the main champion of chaos, and they're just like fighting as everything collapses. Reality collapses around them.
It's pretty insane.
And then poof.
Yeah.
And then
he floated around for like 300 years, and one of the dragons or something found him and saved him. It's a little fuzzy. There's a lot. And again, I've said it, I have kids. So it all kind of just blurs together.
So this is the benefit of having notes. So yes, you are correct. I did. It was very last minute preparedness. But
I see that. I couldn't read that if I had to.
It's fine. I can barely read it. It's just I have to remember the intent behind what I scribbled down.
What was I feeling when I scribbled this?
Yeah. Rage. No. But so Sigmar at this point, like you said, kind of just like floats and eventually encounters a dragon, I guess.
It was some sort of like celestial being.
Celestial being that I guess then guides him to the new, if you want to say, I guess the Big Bang happened and now
basically
reality has been redefined basically because it used to be just a single planet, right? For Warhammer Fantasy, the old world. That is no longer the case. Now in Age of Sigmar, there are realms that, was it 8 realms?
8 realms.
They're all like the size of a solar system.
Yeah, they're huge. And I was reading that before you came over. Each realm is like unfathomably larger than the old world's planet, but they're not.
They're basically different planes of existence.
Sure.
And there's 8 of them. And they're connected by what are called realm gates, which is really interesting. So it basically feels like kind of us being given license to make it wherever you want.
Exactly.
Because there will
you want an icy area?
Yep.
I got you, dog.
Yep. It doesn't just have to be Norsica. There can be ice somewhere else.
Crazy.
Which is, yeah. So pretty much realm gates are the only way really to get from one realm to another. And so they're in high demand. But basically, my understanding is chaos isn't even like active right now when Sigmar's out and about. And he kind of slowly finds the other non-chaos gods. And a lot of the like elf gods were like elf heroes from fantasy. So a lot of
Tyrion and Teclis.
Yeah. And Alariel. They get like elevated to godhood post.
Yeah, if you survived basically the old world, you became a god.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so he kind of, even Nagash, like God of the Dead, is now, they're like all on the same side. He's got Gorkan Mork, the god, or I guess Gorka Morka at that point, the orc god. But he's got all of these different, beings in his pantheon, and they're kind of just like trying to reset everything for the most part. And I think Gorka Morka eventually gets bored being the orc.
And real quick, a shout out to the great horned rat. That old boy's been trying to become a god for centuries, decade. And he finally pulled it off. So big shout out to that guy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories, and we'll cut it if I need to. But like Nagash was hoarding all these souls or whatever, and then he realized like, where are they going? And the Skaven had like scurried under his pit of souls and was letting them drain out and go back to the realms.
That's amazing.
It's like, yeah. So now then he declared war on the Skaven. Like it was this whole thing.
The Skaven are great. The Skaven are so fun.
I tried so hard. I wanted to play Skaven. I was like,
but then I was like, I'm going to need like 100 rats. Okay, maybe.
And that was the holdup. I just painted Gene Stealer Call. I was like, I can't do this to myself again.
Not yet is all I'll say. Like, I'm not going to commit to that up front. It's like lizards are cool. There's fewer of them.
I'll make that work
feasibly. Yeah. We'll see where we go from there. Maybe rats. I have them, but maybe one day. But yeah, so my understanding is kind of Gorka Morka, the orc god, kind of just like runs off and does his own thing. He's like, nah, y'all are losers. Yep. So I guess it's called the Age of Chaos. Like chaos.
There's a lot of ages.
There are a lot of ages.
It's kind of in the name though. So
Age of Sigmar. But yeah, so pretty much chaos bursts back into reality.
They take over almost everything.
They kind of do. Yeah. Like they overrun a lot of the realms. They basically just seize the realm gates. They corrupt a ton of mortals. And so pretty much all the, I guess at this point, we'll just say all the gods in Sigmar's pantheon, we'll just go ahead and call them Order.
Sure.
Alliance Order, which is
exactly what they used. That's amazing.
Wow. So at this point, it's Order fighting Chaos, and they're definitely struggling. they do, I guess Sigmar stalls for time and unveils the Stormcast Eternals, which are basically, well,
like
you said
chosen
before,
humans or something.
it's like if you fell to fighting chaos, you would be reincarnated as a superhuman, like with lightning god powers. So they're space marines in a fantasy setting that like teleport down in bolts of lightning and can like continue to reincarnate, but like each time they die, they lose a little bit of their soul. So it's kind of, they're not immortal. They're slowly becoming just kind of losing
that was the
who they
trailer
are.
for Scaventide, wasn't it? They showed that
Yes.
off.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was cool.
Basically, Nagash takes a little sliver off every time they die.
bite.
Yeah, yep.
Nibbles.
Just a little taste. But yeah, so the Stormcast Eternals kind of help turn the tide and push chaos back, pretty much. Which I guess at this point, Nagash decides to finally stab Sigmar in the back. And he's been kind of working in the background, and while Order and Chaos are fighting and Destruction's off doing destruction things, Death kind of separates and he unleashes the Necroquake, which is just this massive realm-shaking earthquake that's just a flood of death magic everywhere.
Oh.
So the dead are raising everywhere. I think this is where the Night Haunts appear as a faction, period. It's just ghosts, army, boom, go. They're everywhere. They are hyper-aggressive. They are
I liked
angry.
them when they dropped.
They're really cool. I think this was Soul Wars.
Yes.
Is what that was called.
One of my only complaints in the big rule book is like the Realm Gate Wars is a page. Soul Wars is a page.
That's sad.
Whatever the third edition was just a page. It's like, man, there were novels about this. Like, you can't give it like 3 pages.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so I'm having to go back on like the Wikipedia. It's like, I don't want to read the books. I don't have that much time, but like, I'll hit the wiki up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of info.
It's such a distinct universe from both fantasy and 40K that it's like, I actually didn't know hardly anything about this until I sat down and
exactly.
and looked into it.
And I hated it for so long, and now that I'm reading into it, I was like, man, this is cool. I was actually holding books at McKay's.
Oh, wow.
Saturday. They had this
like-
big, like, not, I was like, oh, I've won it, but like, when do I have time to read?
That's the hard part. You can listen to it though while you're doing
Well,
stuff.
yeah.
If they have actual audiobooks for Sigmar, which I don't know.
They do.
Yeah, so Necroquake, pretty much just Nagash is like, screw everybody, just
Wrecked
attacking
everything.
everyone. Eventually, both Death and Chaos are kind of repelled, but territory has been taken by both of them that's never really regained. So, Order's still kind of on the back foot. And then I think that leads into what's called the Dawnbringer Crusade.
Dawnbringer, that's what I was thinking.
Which, yeah, that's basically Sigmar and the rest of Order being like, okay, now we need to push back. So this is Order going back on the offensive and trying to take, and they do, like, apparently there's multiple crusades and not all of them are successful. And they are slowly taking back stuff. And then Kragnos, one of the destruction gods,
Man, he
wakes
looks cool.
up. Yeah, because Order basically pushes into the realm of beasts, which is Gur, and Kragnos wakes up and is like, what are all these people doing? They're bringing civilization. Ew.
Is that what we call it?
Cringe. So destruction, then this is kind of, I think, range refreshes. Like pretty much any time there's one of these new things, it's like either a new edition or a range refresh for something, which is kind of cool.
A little bit.
Yeah. So destruction, just, I mean, it's orcs in heavy plate armor. It's ogres. It's giant.
All those new
gargants.
ogres are cool.
Yeah. So pretty much they have been present, but they're destruction. So they've mostly been fighting themselves, and they've actually been fighting a lot of chaos too.
Hey.
And this is the first time that they've actually kind of like leveled their sword at Order as well. And they're, Order and Death are a bit more numerous now by this point. So destruction actually bothers to fight them. Pretty much same story. They kind of eventually get repulsed, but like I mentioned, at this point it was just the Iron Jaws, which are the orcs in heavy plate, just really jacked orcs that kind of just run at you and smash things really hard. So destruction tries something else. We get introduced to a new orc-like sub-army, the Cruel Boys, which you have.
I have one starter set and a second one has been negotiated for.
Ooh. Yes. I have a third one, so.
Oh, don't. No, Mark. No.
I'm keeping mine, so, because orcs are cool. Yes. But yeah, so pretty much Destruction tries to be sneaky instead. And apparently just a lot of cities just completely disappear in the Realm of Beasts. The Stormcast Eternals will go to check on, hey, this is a city we have. It's just swamp and like evil mist. Like there's no bodies, there's nothing. And apparently that's like an ancient elixir, like super weapon that the Cruel Boys have. And those were test runs. And they basically just delete. It's like a ridiculously powerful magical acid that can just it actually harms like the realms itself almost. Oh, wow. And Destruction's committed to, believe it or not, destruction. So they're just trying to trash everything. So, and that's when Stormcast get their buff. That's when Games Workshop makes them a bit skinnier. The Thunder Strike, because the dwarf god or whatever comes and helps Sigmar. I forget his name, but he comes back. He's been missing. He's the other guy along with Sigmar who helps, kind of designed the process to make Stormcast Eternals. And so it gives Games Workshop an excuse to refresh the range pretty much for Stormcast.
Now, didn't they kind of squat a huge chunk of that range?
They did.
Like
later.
All the OG stuff, pretty much.
Not all of it.
Well,
it either got replaced or that what they squatted was like the magical section. Like there was a section that was like all wizards.
Sure.
And I guess it didn't sell well or people didn't like them or whatever reason. They squatted like a quarter of the...
got rid of the nerds.
Yeah. Okay. Losers.
Okay. Jeez. How do you really feel, Mark? As we record a podcast about plastic toy soldiers.
Fine.
Yeah, flip it back on you. How's that feel?
If I didn't have double standards, I wouldn't have any standards at all. No.
I can't. And that's why we have a podcast.
No, it was a very surprising thing, though, that they would actually squat, kind of like something for a game as new as...
it's 10 years?
Yeah, the game's been around for like 10 years. Okay. So, but kind of now, I guess, with 4th edition, which is where we're at now, the Skaven have, I guess, resurged, like Skaven resurgence, and more...
Complete range refresh.
Yes.
Nothing survived.
Minus Night Runners. R.I.P. the weird monkey rats. They're still on the website. I don't know why. Yeah. Everything else, even the little acolytes, the globadiers. But yeah, the Night Runners, they removed Gutter Runners, which were the elite ones, but they still have Night Runners, and they are ugly models. They are very old. But yeah, so that's kind of the setting. Currently, yeah.
Well, I guess in the current setting, the Skaven have basically burrowed under everything and caused problems.
Super cool.
And it's devastated the cities of Sigmar.
Okay.
Which is where I come in.
Interesting. Yeah, so cities is pretty much just like all the...
humans, dwarfs, and dark elves?
Yeah. And just like elves in general, kind of
anything that's left over.
The ones that aren't super extreme, like I guess the Fire Slayers and the Daughters of Cain and stuff, you're like the more normal... people that are not Stormcast. You're kind of just the people who are actually living in the cities that are getting blown up and that the people are trying to protect. So you're
the humans.
Yeah, the humans.
I'm a little sad with the resurgence of the old world. We lost access to all of the Warhammer Fantasy,
all the Wood Elf stuff,
High Elves, and the Wood Elves. Yeah. Anything that they moved over is gone, and that is a concern that I've voiced earlier off mic about our line, because a lot of our stuff is like the Empire Steam Tank.
Yeah.
And the Empire dude on a Griffin and all that sort of stuff is now not even listed on the Cities of Sigmar page on the website.
Ooh.
So I'm really holding back on doing anything that isn't directly on the page.
And just stick with militia pretty much.
And now dwarves are back as an army in Warhammer Fantasy.
Oh, really?
And that's like a third of our army.
Oh.
So it's like, do I even invest? Like, when this book comes out, is that going to be in the army? Like, are we getting a wave 2? Like, what's going on here, man? And that's been a concern. So I'm kind of just sticking to the newer stuff.
Fair enough.
I don't think I'm going to tech into, those Dark Elf Cold ones look so cool, but I can't. And the Black Dragon that's tiny.
Are the Cold ones the same base size as your Cavaliers? Because, like, if they squat them, you could just have them as Cavaliers. Like,
your Cavalier?
It's just... if the weapon...
trying to make me paint dinosaurs, Mark.
The dinosaurs are cool. You will join the dinosaur cult. But I mean, one thing that is nice about Age of Sigmar is they've kind of, and maybe not everyone's on the same. I'm sure everyone doesn't agree with it, I guess, but it is kind of nice that they've rolled the melee profiles into one, so you just get to equip them with what you think looks cool.
Yes. Now, some of the Dark Elf dudes that are the same kit, there's still like 3 or 4 different units.
Okay,
which
interesting.
is interesting. Like there's spears and there's swords and there's great axes or something.
Okay, but point being though, regardless of what your riders, the what'd you say, cold one riders,
Cold ones, yeah.
Regardless of what they are equipped with weapon wise, as long as like they're the same base size, it'd be fine to just, if you really like the models.
I hate you now for making me look into this.
That's fine.
As I pull it up.
I mean, I also said that about Cathay though. If you want like different,
no, because those are going to be very expensive.
Yeah.
I see cold ones aren't even listed on the website anymore. Either.
Really?
There's a chariot.
Interesting. They straight up don't have cold ones on the site. Really?
Really.
And Dark Elves aren't in Old World, are they?
No, they explicitly
legends,
said
but
Dark
they're not,
Elves
like-
won't be in because there's a equivalent.
Gotcha.
And they don't want, duplicate kits for some reason to work.
Interesting.
Oh, no, they're called Darkspawn. There they are.
Oh, Drake Spawn.
Drakespawn, that's the one.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. Wait, cold ones are the...
Dinosaurs.
They're the lizard men
Yeah,
ones.
they're the lizard.
The old lizard men ones that have now been replaced with Agridon Lancers.
Is it? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Because I don't have cold ones anymore. They don't... Or wait, were they Saurus Knights?
I think so.
Wait, so they actually have changed some names though, because it used to be Saurus Guard and now they're called Temple Guard. So those were probably called cold ones and now they're Drake Spawn.
Yeah, I think that's
maybe
they can copyright Drakespawn.
Yeah, more than cold ones.
Anyways, so we talked about our draw in.
Yes.
Talked a little bit about the history.
Oh, also, I guess just the thing, it's something that people are willing to play locally that is not 40K.
Yes, and that was a huge draw. Is once I saw there were a few people kind of interested, and I mentioned it in the Discord, and like 5 or 6 people have bought in.
I'm a little sad we waited so long, but I guess
If I would have known it was going to take off the way it has, now granted, none of us have played games yet.
this is true.
it
That's not
still
true.
might
Some
suck.
people have.
Yes, but as long as it's fun, if people are playing it, and I told you like the second time we hung out, it's like, I don't care what I play, I just want to roll dice.
Yeah.
And if this is what the community wants to play, then I'm going to play.
I need a break from Games Workshop's other
Dark?
child. Yeah. I don't know. And it's not even the rules at this point. It's just, I think I need a break from it, just period.
That's all I've really played for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Take the rest of 10th off, see what happens. See if my Drakari boys survive or don't.
You know how some factions get their get their codex for 3 months before you get new models before 3 months before they remove your army.
We are the only faction, Drakari, that has not been put on the release schedule.
That's depressing. Because Chaos Knights are on there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know I didn't keep up with it, but I heard some questioning about Knights and Chaos Knights where they got put in they got moved around, shuffled.
Well, they
order.
pushed all the Knights back.
Oh,
the release.
gotcha.
I think because of, I don't know.
Interesting.
Not making wild assumptions here. I left my jump to conclusion mat in the other room.
How far does
I think through like fall this year.
Okay.
It was like, you're telling me you could have just made it like another inch long and be like, Drakari.
an 11th is supposed to be next summer?
That's the hot rumor.
Interesting. So we have from spring to summer, pretty much.
Which will be like World Eaters and Guard. Last edition came out in February and new edition dropped in June.
Hey kids, you want your $60 consolation prize that's valid for 3 months only? Eesh. Yikes.
Yep.
One of the benefits of playing Space Marines, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be shocked if they don't get a second codex.
I think that's what they're gonna do.
We're just out here in the cold, like, what's the meme from 2.5 Men where they left Jake?
I'm not sure.
Have you not seen that?
No.
Oh, it's like, I feel like I'm forgetting something and Jake's at the soccer field in the rain.
Oh. Poor Drakari.
Yeah, that's us right now. It's fine. Whatever. Sell the army and be done with it.
It's fine.
Anybody looking to buy Drakari, hit me up on the YouTube channel or the Facebooks.
But yeah, so honestly, though, one thing that'll be kind of cool with the Age of Sigmar Escalation League is you and I, since we're both starting from scratch.
A lot of people are.
A lot of people are starting from scratch, but we can actually kind of provide very specific to this
Yes.
hobby updates whenever we do episodes. So
Well, that
kinda,
and kind of working through the rules and figuring it out.
Yeah.
It might be a nice little segment now every month going forward is, it might not be a Sigmar centric episode.
yeah.
But we could definitely talk about what's going on and the games we're playing and how the army's doing and how badly I'm progressing with my escalation painting.
We've just got like our little Sigmar segment. Yeah.
It's so cute.
It's adorable.
Yes.
But yeah, so we thought that would be kind of fun. And for those of you on the server, we kind of pitched the idea previously. But if you want, when you guys are making progress for your escalation stuff, if you want, we can kind of shout it out and comment on when you guys give you a little head pat whenever,
Yes.
whenever you do good and paint models and don't just have them gray.
And speaking of the server, like I pitched last time, I think this is a new segment going forward also, is we do have a Discord server.
We do.
If you want in, shoot me a message on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or, webwayradio@gmail.com.
Hit the DMs up.
Yeah. Slide into my DMs, and we'll get you in there. We are seeing growth on the podcast as we've discussed.
Very exciting.
As we discussed earlier. Geez, I can't talk tonight.
It's fine.
It's like every other night. I think about it and then I can't talk worse. Yeah. So anything else you want to chat about here?
No, I'm excited to get some games in. It's
I'm excited to get some things based. Right now, everything's assembled and not a single model's on a base.
we need to figure out how big of a game we want to do for our test thing, because I kind of want to do like at least 1,000 points.
I was going to say
something.
probably 1,000 because I feel like 2,000 is a little much.
Probably.
But 1,000 will let us try things.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like one of these, one of these, one of these, one of these, one of these.
Oh yeah, no, my army at 1,000 points will be garbage. But I'll
I just want to shoot my cannon, damn it.
Oh,
See, yes, I said it this time. I'm not.
it's fine.
I think I can get away with a damn on Apple. It's fine.
Yeah, it's
We
probably
didn't say the F word in the first 60 seconds. We are good on YouTube. Apparently, that's the standard. Can't say it in the first or last 60 seconds, and you
Unless
won't get
you
flagged for explicit content.
darn. So wait, we want explicit or we
No,
don't?
no, no,
want
we don't.
explicit?
We don't.
Oh.
But I mean, we could go full 40K badcast and just
Oh,
F bomb it galore and pop beers as we start and just make this a thing. But I can't listen to the badcast with the kids in the car.
Right.
So
Gotta keep the kiddos safe.
fine. One of Dawson's first words was damn.
How'd that work out?
How did I find out? Or
Yeah,
how
well,
did he
just
learn it?
how,
I know
yeah.
how he learned it. Oh. But he was walking through the living room with some toys or something in his hand, like right as he learned to walk and started talking. And something fell out of his hand and he looked down and he went, damn it. And Jordan looked at me and I was like, he said it right. It's like, you can't be mad if he's using it in context. He's learning.
Oh wow.
The side of parenting, it's not in the books.
Ooh.
Your kids hear everything. And I guess he dropped an F-bomb once in front of his great-grandmother.
Oh no.
And she was like, he said a bad word today. I was like, Judy, what did he say? It's like, it was bad. Oh, no. Like, noted.
Okay, well, noted for me, I guess, for any potential future children.
Yeah,
I will,
just stop swearing
well.
or lean into it. Either way, it's fine.
Sure, but flip a coin, I guess.
What do you do? It's fine. All right. Well, I think with that, we're wrapping this one up.
Yeah.
This has been episode 6
Yes, we know how to count.
this time.
Yeah.
Next time, we'll see.
Yeah, no promises.
Episode 6 of Webway Radio. I'm Kurt,
I'm Mark.
and we will talk to you next time.
Catch you guys later.